Good morning, Own Rev family, and thanks for joining us for the Monday morning devotion brought to you by Own Your Health Revolution. I'm Dr. Hollen Meyer, along with my co host, Gloria Strait, and she'll be closing us out in prayer today. We do this every Monday morning at 7:13 Central Standard Time, and it's about a 10 to 20 minute devotional to start your week off with Jesus. And remember, how you start your day is how you rule your day. I don't know how the weather is where you're at, but it is cold today. Many of you know that I live in Texas, and if you know anything about Texas weather, you know it can be crazy, and it seems to have a mind of its own. Literally, like, it can be 80 degrees one day and 35 degrees the next. That's how it was like a few weeks ago and today, actually. And just as soon as you get a few days of 70 to 80 degree weather, and you think it's going to start warming up, bam, you're hit with the low of 27 degrees. Seriously, guys, it's crazy. And that's how our day to day is right now. If you know what I'm talking about and you're listening to the recording of this, go ahead and hit the like button if you know what we're talking about. Now, when it's cold outside, we bring our plants inside to protect them from the cold, from any potential freeze, and from the things that they can't control. Thank goodness my husband has a green thumb to keep them alive. He really does love those plants. In fact, he has had the same ficus tree for over 17 years. They've been through a lot together. The ficus tree has almost died at times, at least one time I remember, and he trimmed it down and nursed it back to life. And it has seen numerous apartments and condos and houses that we've lived in. And as it was warming up last week, we considered bringing the plants back outside for the change in season to allow the plants to breathe some fresh air and to get some direct sunlight. I can only imagine how the plants would love to finally be outside. And because Brett cares so much for his plants, he looked at the weather forecast first. And we decided to keep the plants inside because it's going to get down to 27 degrees, which is freezing by the weekend. You see, the Father treats us similarly at times, and we don't always understand. God is all knowing, and it's personal to him. I imagine the plants felt the warmth of the day, and if they could think anything like us, I'm sure they would be saying something like, "Why does the Father keep me in the dark? Why won't he just let me see there is light at the end of the tunnel? I see that it's warm outside. Why does it seem that he's absent from my life? I feel as if my prayers are bouncing off the ceiling. I see other plants outside doing just fine today." For us, it might be that we see people excelling in life and it doesn't even seem like they're in God's will. Why not me? God, take this burden off me. God, please let me know you're near. God, please reveal yourself to me. In this scenario, just like our Father, my husband knew better to put the plant outside in harm's way. My husband could predict things that the plant had no idea of knowing, no way of knowing. Just like us, many times, the plant didn't know that it would freeze if it had its way. If we lived in our own will instead of inside God's will for our lives, it could be disastrous, or it will be disastrous. The plant didn't realize that the others that received the current sunshine on that day when it was 80 degrees would soon freeze and struggle in the next few days, possibly ending their life. The difference is that the plant doesn't have a choice like we do. The plant must follow its master's instructions. It remains quite simple. On the other hand, we do have free will, and we can seek our own will or we can seek God's will for our life. Just like in the story of the plant, when we seek and follow God's will for our lives, we have a fulfilling life. God knows more than we do, and he wants the best for our lives. He reveals himself in his perfect timing. When we feel as though he's far away, know with all your heart that he is hard at work, and he's preparing your best life for you. He knows the next step. He knows what he's protecting you from. Despite your choices, he's constantly rerouting our life for his will to be done. And there's nothing in the flesh that can stop his will. At one point, my husband had to groom the plant and cut the leaves back. It was almost dead already. I was afraid he was surely going to kill it. But he knew better. He knew what was necessary for the plant to survive, even when it didn't seem so. We are not privileged to know everything. We are called to lean on God, and I believe that He allows life to happen sometimes to a point that we have no other choice but to call out for Him to be present in our lives. God wants us to lead a life that requires Him, not one that only calls on Him when it's convenient. And one of my favorite passages in the Bible is Psalm 139, and it shows that He not only knows of us, but He intimately knows us, our thoughts when we rise. He knows what we're thinking. And I'm going to close this out with this passage today. I'm going to read Psalm 139, verses 1 through 14. You searched me, Lord, and you know me. You know when I sit and when I rise. You perceive my thoughts from afar. You discern my going out and my lying down. You're familiar with all my ways. Before a word is on my tongue, you, Lord, know it completely. You hem me in behind and before, and you lay your hand upon me. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me, too lofty for me to attain. Where can I go from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? If I go up to the heavens, you are there. If I make my bed in the depths, you are there. If I rise on the wings of the dawn, if I settle on the far side of the sea, even there your hand will guide me. Your hand will hold me fast. If I say, surely the darkness will hide me and the light become night around me, even the darkness will not be dark to you. The night will shine like the day. The darkness is as light to you. For you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful, and I know that full well. I'm going to go ahead and close this out in prayer. Dear God, thank you for being God. Thank you for knowing everything, even when it seems like you're not close. Thank you for giving us the reassurance in your word that you have already mapped out the next thing in life, and that you're working fervently on our life, even when it doesn't feel like you're there. Help us to know you. Help us to feel you. And even when we don't feel you, help us to surround ourselves with people that love you so that we can be reminded. Thank you for your grace. Thank you for loving us when we're not perfect. Thank you for being you, God. In Jesus' name I pray. Okay, thanks to all of you for listening in and contributing to the Own Rev movement so we can better ourselves and further God's kingdom. And we want to remind you that we do record these and post them on social media, so feel free to share it with your friends and family so it can be a blessing to more and more people. Thank you for joining us, and stay classy, folks.